Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Summer Camp Island, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hi.
And Steve Zeck.
Hello.
Yes, we're very excited to talk about Cartoon Network's newest show, Summer Camp Island, that dropped all 20 episodes this weekend on Cartoon Network. All 20 episodes of presumably season 1. Not exactly clear if this is all of season 1 or not.
Pretty sure it's all of season 1.
Okay, yes. Cartoon Network didn't really brand it as season 1, but they said, we're dropping all the episodes, and people are like, is this it or is there more? But no, there's more. There's gonna be more. But yeah, we watched all 20 in a few days here, and we are excited to talk about everything about the show. We are going to start off with no spoilers. Now, this is not really a show that has spoilers, so don't really worry about it. But if you have not seen Summer Camp Island, you want to hear what we think about it, if you want to check it out or not, you can keep listening. And then at some point, after the initial thoughts, I will give a spoiler warning, for all 20 episodes, because we'll talk about our favorite things from throughout the season. But yeah, check us out at overlyanimated.com. Search for Overly Animated on iTunes to subscribe there, or go to overlyanimated.com/YouTube to subscribe to us on YouTube, that you can not miss our podcast there either. So, Summer Camp Island, we're new to the show. A lot of new characters, very exciting. 20 episodes is a lot, but I guess, Michelle, overall, what did you think as you were watching these 20? How did you feel about it?
I was very pleasantly surprised. I think, I don't remember if I'd seen the pilot, but I'd seen, like, the animation style before I watched any episodes, and I was kind of like, what is this? I don't know about this. It looks different, which is, like, sad. I shouldn't have been so judgy. I didn't know what the tone was going to be, so I was like, I don't know about this. But after watching, like, I think about, like, 3 episodes in, I started really getting into it. And it's such a nice show. It's like a very cozy show, even though I still think it's a little, like, spooky at times. Spooky. And, there are, like, different components going on here. I've heard people say it has a very Adventure Timey vibe, and I kind of get what they mean by that, but it's definitely, like, its own thing. And it has different priorities, I would say, which I think is great, because it has a very strong, like, it has a very distinctive style. Compared to a lot of shows out right now. And I love the idea of, like, focusing on, like, a magical summer camp, because that's, like, a pretty relatable thing for a lot of kids. I can certainly relate to it, even though my camp was never co-ed. I had to go to Girl Scout camp. But, I mean, I really like this show, and I'm curious if we do get more, how they're going to expand on this. Like, if this is a summer camp thing, presumably they can only be there during the summer, right? So how is that going to be an issue, or is it not going to be an issue? But, like, yeah, like, even, like, I feel like there are a lot of, like, really nice character moments, especially between Oscar and Hedgehog, that I thought were really heartwarming, and the music is really good, and it definitely gives me, like, a Peanuts vibe, in a really good way, though. So there's a lot to like about this show, I think.
Nice. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of specific Peanuts references as well.
Yeah.
Parallels, yeah. The show is like a Gravity Falls type thing, where all of Gravity Falls takes place in one summer. Is that what we're going to do here?
That's what I'm wondering.
I think probably it's just a perpetual magic summer, and we will never leave, because like large periods of time pass within a few episodes of the show, and there's no sign that the summer is ending, I would say, at the end of these 20. But yeah, we'll see. That's something to keep track of. Steve, what are your what are your overall thoughts on Summer Camp Island?
Loved it. When I first heard about this show, I was mildly interested, and then I found out there'd be witches here, so I'm like, count me in.
Yeah, Steve is in for anything witches. Yeah,
you really like witches,
especially cute witches and good witches that aren't, like, just stereotypically, like, evil, like in the old days.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, as Steve is going, keep track of how many names he gets wrong, because this is a new show. We're new to these names, and Steve has trouble with established show names as well. So keep track.
Yeah, I'm not good with names.
Okay.
I am good with names of characters I remember more than others. Yeah. Like I know Oscar and Hedgehog. Okay. I know the counselors.
Yeah.
And
You got Hedgehog. That's impressive.
A lot of the kids, but a lot of the other summer kids, I might take a while for me to get. But yeah, I like the show. It's very interesting. It seems though it's it's an endless summer. It might never end because you never know with magic here. I am interested to see if there's like any like rival camps or something. I mean, what would be a rival camp to the witches? Like maybe
wizard camp,
wizard or pilgrims or Puritans.
Puritan camp. Oh my God,
they're witches' natural enemy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess.
But you were into it though, Steve.
Yes, I'm into it. I don't know who my favorite characters is. I think we all might agree who our favorite character is, but get on that later.
I don't know with Dylan though. He might be a wild card.
Yeah,
we'll see.
but I'm excited. There's no real bad episode yet. I just hope, man, we get some more fun episodes. I think I love the baseball episodes. I love baseball episodes. I'm hoping we get more sports episodes. Maybe I'm hoping for a tennis episode.
Okay, interesting. I have the opposite feeling on the sports episodes. 3 out of these 20 are sports episodes. I'm a little done with it, but it's two separate softball episodes. That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
but one softball,
very different plots.
Yeah, but that one episode definitely took a page out of Looney Tunes. Remember this Bugs Bunny cartoon when he took on a whole team by himself? I mean, one of the counselors did a little trick with her feet moving around the bases. That's definitely Bugs Bunny influenced.
Yeah, I think this is a good call. A lot of influences from old shows and stuff here. Okay, so I've been excited for Summer Camp Island since the pilot, which I really enjoyed. Yeah. And when I watched the pilot, I was very much attached to the shipping in the show.
Oh, yes.
Because that was, I think that was like the main element of the pilot was Oscar's feelings for Hedgehog. Then I was shipping them for a long time before the show started. And then I read this interview with creator Julia Pott saying like, we dropped that plot line. They're not into romance at all.
Yay!
I was very upset because that's the fastest my ship has ever died before the show even started. And, but yeah, so we quickly rebounded though, because, their friendship is incredible. And I am probably happy that we did not go that route. Although there's a few times we allude to it and, it's still interesting, but
a lot of hints though. Oscar might be gay.
Yeah, we'll talk about that for sure. Yeah, it's but I enjoyed these 20 episodes. I think the show is very comfy. I think that's a good word.
Yeah, it's very comfy.
Yeah, and it's very cute. Like it's like I guess chibi, not really chibi style, but like just a very cute world that's very appealing to me. Like this cute aesthetic, and everything has faces and everything's smiling. Like I'm enjoying the world. I think the Oscar and Hedgehog are great characters. I like both of them a lot. And then there's all these supporting elements and stuff, and I think it kind of pretty quickly turns Adventure Time-esque. You know, Julia Pott wrote Adventure Time, and then like every storyboarder on the show directly came from Adventure Time. And I mean, I love Adventure Time, and we're slowly getting into that type of thing. But I think similar to Adventure Time, we struggle a little bit in season 1, as with most shows do. You know, not everything can be, I guess, Craig of the Creek can be like really good right away. And I think that there's some very good episodes of the show, and then there's a lot of okay, that was fine episodes of Summer Camp Island, which is expected. I don't really like write off or judge a show by its initial batch of episodes. So I'm more looking for potential, and I think there's a ton of potential here with Summer Camp Island. There's already a few very good episodes, and there's a lot of elements I'm into. Oscar and Hedgehog I really like, and especially the witches. All 3 of them I think are incredible. I think that like the supporting elements of the show, like any supporting characters beyond those 5 are pretty weak and just underdeveloped. So that I'm interested to see more of that to come, and we get our first hints of any sort of mythology at the end of it, which would be exciting to build up. Definitely earned getting there after basically no plot for the entire show. Yeah, I was into it. There's a lot of things I'm excited to talk about. And I recommend checking it out. I think you'll see pretty soon if you want to continue. Like, watch first 2 episodes. If you're not into it, it's not going to get that much better. So, it's fun. It's a fun, comfy show. So, you should try it out, I would say. Okay, I guess we'll put a spoiler warning up here. Again, there's really nothing. Just the last episode has a little bit of plot stuff, a little bit of a twist. So if you don't want to know about that, then tune out now. Make sure to check out all of 20 episodes of Summer Camp Island. We probably won't get into the twist right away because I want to get into some of the more general plot elements to start with. But yeah, spoilers for all of season 1 of Summer Camp Island starting now. And yeah, I think that let's talk about this world first, I guess, because it takes a while to realize how many random elements of like fantasy mythology are in this world. We have the monsters, which have 2 episodes out, I think, not too present outside of that. There's the witches, of course. They're big characters. The moon is a character, and also the sun.
Yeah.
Yep. And the moon has at least 1 or 2 episodes. And then there's aliens, which have an episode. Which outside of that don't really do anything outside of their 1 episode. But what an episode it is. And then there's also yetis.
Yes, they're yetis.
Yeah.
And also it's just anthropomorphized animals.
Yeah. And food and like pajamas and many, many things.
Right. So
basketball.
To start with, the people in this world are actually animals. And there's probably not any real people, even though some people look like people. They're probably just subtly animals.
Yeah.
So
you gotta look at their ears.
Yeah. So it's BoJack. It's BoJack except no humans. And then there's also like the witches turn everything and everything is a fate. Like I think that the trademark thing about the show is that everything is sentient. Like everything can talk and has a personality. Like the tree, the pajamas, like everything's talking.
It's like the Beast's castle.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, where are the songs with all the inanimate objects? But yeah, what was your initial take, Michelle, when you started seeing everything talking? Were you into it?
It was a little disarming, but a lot of them have very cute, like young child voices. So like I was sold on that, especially Pajamas. Pajamas is like one of my top 5 characters because I love the way they talk so much.
Oh, interesting though. Pajamas is a male character, but he's voiced by a girl. Find that interesting.
That happens a lot though. Like a lot of like adult voice actors for young boys or
usually.
But she's a little girl. She's a little girl herself.
She's starting early.
Yeah,
she's got a whole.
Normally, if you get a kid voice actor to voice a kid, like voice a little boy character, and you want it to be a kid, it would be a boy. That way, maybe they can, as they age, they can continue like an Adventure Time with Finn.
Yeah, I think most of the inanimate objects that talk are either non-binary or like I guess male, like pajamas. But really, pajamas gender is not important. But
yeah, pajamas is just pajamas. Yeah. So I guess they do refer to pajamas sometimes with male pronouns, if I'm remembering that correctly.
It's female, pretty much.
Yeah. So it took a little adjusting, but you're into it, Michelle.
Well, my only concern is like they have to eat food. So is only some of the food like have sentience, or is all of it, and they just kind of don't mind that much eating it or the food themselves being eaten. I wonder. That's my only real concern.
Yeah. I'm trying not to think about that.
Okay, so you're fine with everything talking, Steve.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
It sounds like a fun little trip to an amusement park.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, so yeah, I think this is like the show's trademark thing. I think it's very cute that everything can talk and they all have like cute voices, and it's great. I agree with Michelle. My biggest concern with the show's mythology is I think the show's a little bit of a sentience problem, where an agency problem. This is just a personal thing. I really hate when characters' agencies are taken away in shows. This includes like mind control and stuff. And the episode 2, one of the characters supposed to kind of starts turning things into babies against their will.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty disturbing. Yeah. I don't know if I don't know if it's intended to be, like maybe a little bit, but and then eating the marshmallows have faces and stuff. I think if you're going to give things sentience / sapience, we need to respect that. And this show generally does not do that, so it's you have to turn it off a little bit, I think. The normal way you view characters like that. But yeah, too interesting putting episode 2 in the 2 slot. That was definitely striking for me, and an interesting introduction to Alice.
And also interesting episode 2 right away we get an Alice episode, and really we have not yet really gotten a Betsy episode. I mean, even episodes that really focus on her, she's not really get that much of a screen time.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest issues I had with the first 20 is that almost no one outside of Oscar, Hedgehog, and Susie gets any focus. There's there's like, I guess there's a one episode for the panda and Pepper. And like, there's stuff like that, but I don't think anyone's really a character outside of the main three. Like they're all like Alice has an episode. Outside of that, she's almost completely inconsequential.
Yeah.
Betsy never really gets a focus of her own.
Yeah.
I think if we're comparing it to Adventure Time and we're just going to like rotate between these different mythology elements, that's my big like discussion point with Adventure Time. Adventure Time's turned into the show where we have the Flame Princess episode, we have the Marceline and Bubblegum episode, we have we just rotate, but the show's so many different plot elements. We just have episodes, and we just like every 20 episodes we check in with this side of the world, and that's the impression that I get where the show is going to go in. And I don't think anything's really strong enough yet to do that. Like you can't just focus. Like the Pepper episode, I don't think was that good because I don't really care about Pepper. I think we need to, like the Monsters episode. I don't care about the monsters. They're only in 2 episodes. They're just there. So I think that'll get better as the show goes on, as we see them more. But yeah, that's a big thing for me is a lot of other characters getting focus.
Do you think though at least Max has sort of come close to being part of the main cast?
Max is the closest out of all the secondary characters.
Yeah. And the other 2 witches, I think I put them the same level as Alice and Betsy. Max, they're that second tier, just below, but above the rest of the cast.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I guess like Pajamas and Pepper and the next.
I was gonna say Pajamas too.
Alexa's a character that confuses me. Alexa's always hanging out with them. I thought she was gonna be like the 4th in their group, but she never does anything.
Yeah, she gets a lot of like throwaway lines in a lot of episodes, so you feel like, oh, like she is kind of important, but she doesn't get a ton of focus as a character.
Yeah, I really like Alexa. I'd like them to focus. Like she was great in the Superpowers episode. I would like some more focus on her, but I don't know. Michelle, which secondary characters jump out at you now that we're on this topic? Outside of our main 3, including Susie in that.
Well, I'm actually really curious about Betsy, honestly, ever since like the Hedgehog werewolf episode. I was like, oh my god, there's so much more to Betsy than I thought. And maybe like her and Hedgehog can be better friends and talk about being werewolves together.
That's what I'm thinking too, though. It seemed like also we found another episode, they casually mentioned that Betsy's been teaching Hedgehog some magic, and I really think they're trying to build this sort of like big sister, little sister relationship with them. So I'm not only want a Betsy episode, but at the very least a Betsy Hedgehog episode that focuses on that relationship, which I think is kind of cute.
Plus, Betsy seems like the least nasty of the 3 witches, which I also think is kind of interesting.
And I know like when summer's over, I bet you she's gonna probably get the most hugs from all the campers, especially
probably. She's probably the most popular.
That's how we get introduced to the other 2 witches. Alice, you're the second not meanest witch, and then it's like Betsy is the nicest one on Oscar's power rankings of the witches. So we have those like 2 throwaways too. I mean, the werewolf episode's not a throwaway. Like, I think that's one of the stronger episodes of the show, and the reveal with Betsy at the end, I think, is great. And more Betsy Hedgehog would be really, really
good. And also the ghost episode that was sort of in the end, it turned out to be a little more focused on Betsy than we thought, but they only reveal it at the very end, so it kind of loses it a little bit.
Yeah, Betsy gets some throwaway stuff, and you're like, because a lot of people seem to view her sympathetically, and I'm like, okay, should I be shipping Betsy with someone? Like, should I be shipping Betsy with Susie? Because that seems like at the end of the ghost episode, that seems like a good ship. Like Susie's jealous of ghost boyfriend for Betsy.
Well, Susie, I think is bi.
You're calling it right now. You're saying it's definitely
already
true,
these hot takes.
Well, also another episode, the Time Sand episode. She said, "Okay, new boyfriend. Who's it going to be?" And in her deluded mind, she thinks both Oscar and Hedgehog has a crush on her. So
I mean, I think that's more of a cute playoff thing, but like, I mean, I'm also tempted to ship a Hedgehog with Betsy. There's probably an age difference. Not really clear how old anyone is. They're all animals.
Well, we know Susie is going to. She turned 15.
Yeah, eternally 15. So
I'm quite wondering about that. That theories about could Could that be Susie?
Yeah, we'll get to that. Later. So the three witches are probably 15, and then I'd say like Oscar Hedgehog 11, 12. I don't know, 10.
Yeah, like 11 or 12.
Yeah, so
I would say.
Yeah. So, Betsy Vincent, Alice, I think, is great too. I think, she's Charlene Yee, so we love her already. And
yes, she's so good.
Yeah. So big week for Charlene Yee on Cartoon Network. And I think, despite her her villainous acts in episode 2, she's pretty sympathetic as well. I guess she's supposed to be like the chaotic neutral kind of character. Which I think is pretty successful. I mentioned Alexa. Michelle mentioned pajamas. I don't know. Anyone else? The Moon. He's cool. But yeah, some of the monsters.
Yeah. Well, the person I'm looking for, maybe at least a funny gag, is Lucy. Could you mention the Peanuts gag? She has the same name as a Peanut character, and I'll be so disappointed if we don't have a football episode when she takes away the football from somebody.
More sports. We have to do football now.
We had football though in the high school, so that kind of counts as a sport.
That's true.
And she already did something Lucy like when she really picked on Pepper for having a blanket. That is so Lucy.
To be honest, I don't remember who Lucy is. Which one is she? She's outside of Pepper.
The one with the glasses.
Oh, okay. Glasses and the braids. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets pretty thin after the first few.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk the main cast though. Because Susie. So this is who Steve's referring to as everyone's favorite. Steve.
I love Susie.
This is your favorite character, Steve?
Oh yeah, she's awesome. She's like I said, she's kind of like the closest thing we have to a villain, but she's not really a villain. I love all her hairstyles, which I think is pretty cool. I do love her hairstyles. And love the British accent. That the creator does. I do think though she is what I don't know. You guys think what Vicky from Fairly Odd Parents could have been if they decided to give her more depth instead of making her an outright villain.
Okay, I don't think Susie has more depth than Vicky in 20 episodes, but yeah.
Well, have you seen that? Have you seen Fairly Odd Parents? Vicky it's just evil. She's just evil.
We love her anyway, but
yeah.
Susie might be more sympathetic.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
More moments to sympathize with her at least.
Yeah. Julia Pott describes her as the antagonist in the This Week Cartoon Network interview. But she's she's very sympathetic to me. So I don't think.
Oh, absolutely.
She's just kind of like the big sister who's kind of a jerk, but I think in a way,
absolutely.
But I think she's also a jerk in a way that she's also trying to toughen you up anyway. It's like he's like the older sibling who's mean to you, but also has methods to their madness sometimes.
Yeah, and she's not malicious. She somehow like doesn't realize sometimes that she comes off really not fun when she does all these antics. Like she thinks it's still like endearing somehow, which I find hilarious.
And she's like I guess, and also she's like maybe sometimes a coach. The coach of the camp. Does she own the camp though? We don't know who runs it. Yeah. I know.
She's just the head counselor.
As far as we can tell, she's in charge, but presumably there's something behind it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle, is Susie your favorite?
Oh, I love Susie. She's the closest I've seen to the embodiment of Helga Pataki since the 90s. So of course I'm gonna love her. Oh yeah. I mean, I love that she's so bossy. I love that she has super thick eyebrows. I love that she's in charge and can do magic and is really petty about it and just doesn't care. The fact that she doesn't care is like so great to me. I want to see more characters like that, especially girl characters like that. It's very, very refreshing.
Oh, and I love how she, despite that, she's not afraid to just call like the other campers cute. Admit that, like. Adorable, like you got adorable pair, like so she's not that bad. She has her good side.
Yeah,
she does feel bad sometimes. I mean, especially when Oscar's concerned. Like if he's the better person, she like recognizes that low key, even if she still kind of like pushes him around and stuff because that's their dynamic. And there are episodes when she's there, but she's not the antagonist. She's just neutral, like the computer game episode or the moon episode. Yeah. She's just sort of, neutral. She's just there. She has her lines. She has her funny lines. But, she's not always the antagonist, which I find interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's good that we're developing kind of this bond between Susie and Oscar and Hedgehog as the series goes on. They seem to be her favorite campers from our perspective, and she doesn't. She's as established in, I guess, her birthday scene, which is pretty lonely, and she should hang out more with Alice and Betsy. But they do a lot. They watch their Goose drama show? Yeah.
Oh yeah, their drama show.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna co-sign.
They're Camp Pining Hearts.
Yes, I don't think this is on Camp Pining Hearts levels, but we can hope to get there. Susie is also my favorite, so not a lot of different opinions here, but I mean this is expected. I love Mean Girl characters, and this is a really great example of this trope in the show. She's really well developed so far, and I just find her very sympathetic. Like I want her to be mean. She's great when she's being mean to everyone.
I want her to be mean too.
Yeah, it's great. I'm a big Susie fan.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk Oscar. So elephant, and he's I think Oscar's very nice. Michelle, are you going to induct Oscar into your club of sweet boys along with Stephen, KO, and Craig?
Oh, absolutely. He is definitely a sweet boy. I think he has the potential to maybe be less of a sweet boy in certain ways. Like I think he's willing to cheat, right, at the baseball game. Like I love that about him. That he's like, it felt so good. Like I know it's wrong, but it felt so good. So he still definitely has a conscience, but I love that he's still willing to kind of like, beat Susie at her own game sometimes and like throw it back. He isn't like so like morally sound that he would never like dream of breaking the rules. Like that feels a little more relatable too. Yeah. But he's in his heart, I think he's definitely a sweet boy. He's a part of that club.
Yeah, he's a sweet boy. I'm not sure on Steven's level because I think if Steven was in his position, he would have made friends with Susie by now. They would be besties. So
he would have been more determined to make friends. Whereas Oscar's not excited to be friends.
He would have melted her icy heart by eventually. And I just think KO would, no matter what, would never resort to cheating. So
yeah, exactly. KO is like the most sweet boy out of all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a hot take about Oscar. I think that Oscar is in terms of season 1 characterization, is the best character out of those 4.
What?
I think Oscar I really like Oscar, and I think he's...
Explain.
Whereas Craig and Steven and KO come across as a little bit bland, I think. That's the danger of this really nice guy, main character. I think Oscar is not boring. I think I find him very sympathetic. I think that he's engaging. I don't know. There's not like him in the first episode. He has feelings about going home. Outside of that, there's not too much specific stuff going on. But I don't know. I just really like Oscar, like kind of unconditionally. Whereas those other characters, I'm like, I like them, but to a certain extent. Like, I think Oscar's succeeded a lot for me. And I think Elliott Smith does a really great job with him, too.
I will actually agree with this take. And wow. I think, well, oh, wow. Yeah, I know. But also, I mean, I think one of the things you're pointing out is that Oscar, he's more relatable simply because he's more insecure about a lot of things. Like he gets embarrassed about his underwear showing. He gets worried about not being able to see Hedgehog because he doesn't know how to do sports very well. Like he has moments of like real, like, fault that are a little more low key, but also feel like more in terms of like, things that we can, feel also have happened in our lives. So I think that's actually a good point. I mean, I think maybe that's a lot of what makes him stronger. Because like I love Hedgehog, but we don't see quite the same amount of faults in her. Like she's like very smart and she's very put together, and she doesn't lie to Oscar, and we don't really see her like get really nervous about stuff except for at the very end when there's the possibility that she could go to a different camp against her will. That was kind of like her big moment. Arguably, like when she turns into a werewolf too, and she's like, "Oh, like this kind of angry side of me." That's refreshing. But outside of those two things, we don't really see a lot of that from her. I'd like to see more, but we do get it from Oscar pretty consistently, episode by episode. So I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, you're right. I do think of all main characters, he does best to not get stuck in that main character-itis.
Yes.
In terms of normally, like on a show like. The main character probably the most bland and boring when you gravitate towards the supporting characters. I mean, KO for sure. I mean, when compared to like you got Enid, you got Dendy, you got characters like that, and
even TKO is more interesting.
Yeah, and of course Steven, of course you got Amethyst, Pearl, Garnet, and stuff, and Craig. I'm not sure that show is still young. I don't know, but I do love Casey a lot, so maybe so. But yeah, he holds his own with the other characters more so.
Yeah, Kelsey, but it's the wrong show to get a name wrong. That's Steve said it better than I did. Yeah, he is the least main characteritis. I completely agree with that. And I think partly it's just because the supporting characters on the show aren't as good, so he doesn't get hidden behind them. But also I think he's more interesting than the other ones, at least early on in their runs. You know, Steven obviously gets really good. Yeah, so I'm very happy with Oscar, and the anxiety thing is a really good point. He's very relatable with all the anxieties and stuff. And it's this is one of the stronger elements. Let's talk Hedgehog. So I love Hedgehog for sure. My big thing with Hedgehog is what Michelle said, which is that she isn't really. I think Hedgehog is more of a secondary character for most of the show than a co-lead.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
Which is disappointing.
I don't know. So you think she's like Susie's more of a co-lead than Hedgehog?
I think her and Susie are on the same level, honestly. She's always there, but
she takes up screen time, but you don't get a lot of depth to her characterization. That's how she helps Oscar.
One other thing though, she does look a little bit like Max. So sometimes when they're both on screen together, it can be a little.
Animal discrimination.
Confusing. Yeah.
It's my big issue is that we never really get Susie or we get a Hedgehog's perspective on things. There's no real Hedgehog point of view episode. Everything's really just from Oscar's perspective. I think if we're going to get inside her head more, then that would really help out this character.
I thought the Popular Banana Split episode was definitely from her perspective.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. They get separated, so we see both sides of them. Like the Hedgehog Werewolf episode from Oscar's perspective is a little disappointing. Hedgehog is a character where as the show goes on, we learn that she is the brilliant scientist who can just do any feat of science and math. And what's really interesting,
physics too, apparently.
And physics, and I think it's applied really interestingly, where she's also really good at sports because she uses physics to be good at sports. That almost never happens on TV. Like, I love that combination, but that just comes out of nowhere. Like, it's like,
there's no build up. It's like a surprise. Like, oh, you've also been really great at, shooting hoops the whole time. That's cool. But where did that come from?
I'm not concerned that she doesn't have flaws. Like that, you'll get to that. I'm just concerned that I don't know why she's anything, we don't have her side of view on things, and she's on screen, but she's not really the focus of many episodes.
So you think maybe the whole dropping her romantic plot may have hurt her character a bit?
I think you can do it. Maybe this season, but I just think she needs to be characterized better. But I think her characterization is good. She's just not the focus enough.
Yeah, and I'll say I think her biggest characterization is actually that she has the most conflict with her family, where Oscar really does not. Like, he and his parents are kind of on the same page and they're chill, whereas Hedgehog, she wants certain things that her parents clearly don't want for her, and they have very specific goals, especially her father, for how they envision her life plan and her future. And I think that's really interesting, but again, that's more about her extended family than about her as a character herself.
Yeah, that episode where she almost has to leave camp stands out as one where she actually is the focus, and Hedgehog.
And the first one too, I'm trying to remember exactly what happens in the first episode. It feels like kind of a blur, but
it's a lot of episodes.
I mean, I do feel like they talk at the beginning, and you can kind of establish their dynamic already, and the dad's kind of really bossy, and Hedgehog's just kind of enduring it, which is interesting.
And I love Oscar and Hedgehog's friendship and their dynamic. I think that it's a real standout of the show. I think that this could be the non-romantic Starco of Cartoon Network, starring Marco in Star vs. Force of Evil. But the problem is that Hedgehog to this point is not as good of a character as Marco, being in that 1B position. Marco's at times almost a co-lead with Star, and he's just a very good character, whereas Hedgehog hasn't had that focus yet. I think Oscar kind of has. Oscar's maybe in Star levels of focus for the show, but this might be number one on my wish list, alongside just more depth of narrative and characterization for future episodes of the show. Is Hedgehog.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Oscar, we briefly mentioned this before. Oscar being potentially gay. So here's the evidence.
Okay, where's the evidence?
So in the ghost episode, he calls the ghost a babe and handsome. Now, granted, the ghost asked to be called that, but he does call the ghost babe and handsome. And then in the wizard video game, he calls the wizard in the video game handsome. Yeah. So there's your evidence. That's it. That's all I got.
Either he's gay or he's very secure in his sexuality.
He's just very nice, and he
can give compliments without worrying about it.
Yeah, I would like the show to do this. We just had our first same-sex kiss on Cartoon Network on all of children's animation, and let's make Oscar gay. Let's do it.
2018. Let's make Oscar gay.
Oh, who? Like Max?
Max.
Yeah,
that's the OTP.
I would be a fan of that actually.
Yeah. Also, Oscar's subtly a Jewish elephant because he has Bubba on his from his parents call him that, was a Yiddish. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, Jewish elephants. This is great. It's Oscar has a lot of small depth to him like that, and I think if we were gonna, I don't know, him being gay would be really good. Like, let's do that. The show is very, very surface, below the surface level progressive. There's not really any standout elements outside of the ghost having two dads. This is the one thing they did for sure. But other than that, it's all just like, I'm trying to reach at it. Like, the show could be like socially progressive and awesome. Like the non-binary aliens is another big one. Be more overt with your social.
I wasn't sure about the genders of those aliens. They're both like little kid sounds.
It's very ambiguous, I think.
I know.
On purpose.
But I do say one of them was they did say he. Like,
yes. Well, let's talk about feeling spacey.
The king is a he.
King. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk feeling spacey. This is the best episode of the show, in my opinion.
Dylan really likes this episode. This is not my number one, but I see why you like it so much because I know you.
I don't think I told you this yet. How'd you know?
No, you did. You brought it up before.
Okay. I might have brought it up on this person. Yeah. I think this episode is really good. And it's just everything I love about this is a perfect episode for me. And the aliens are non-binary, I believe, except for the king, which is referred to as he, but he's you could also call it that. The what's the other one? Puddle is called they. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Puddle and King, like this non-binary romance, I think is incredible. Just this world is adorable, the aliens' homeworld, and just this plot of the emotions, and Oscar and Hedgehog saying they love each other at the end as friends. I was so into this episode. Like, I think this is this episode shows that the show can be like excellent in an adventure timey way because this has nothing to do with anything else on the show. This alien world. So like Adventure Time can just go to this random kingdom and have an awesome episode, and I think this shows that this show can do that too. So I'm really high on this one.
Good episode.
It is a good episode.
The Puddle and the King is the OTP, obviously.
Yeah, well, the only ones we really have seen in a relationship, so I guess that's fair.
That's probably maybe one of the better episodes. I don't know if it's my favorite. Like, I don't know if you listen to our OKKO podcast, but I somehow differ between what I think is the best episode and what's my favorite episode. So
okay, let's do
objectively best versus personal fave.
Yes.
Let's do best first. So let's go through our highlights from the episodes. Michelle, what's the best episode of the show in your view?
Oh, let me look at them all.
Steve,
Steve, you go while I look.
Okay, Steve. I don't know. I'll pick something similar. Ghost the Boy.
Yes, Ghost the Boy.
Yeah, I thought that's pretty good. Another one, I guess. You're probably gonna hate me for saying this. Monster Visit. In terms of playing against expectations.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but Dylan don't like the monsters. He says.
I like the monsters. I don't think they're used that well, but that was a nice episode.
Yeah, and I guess you have to say Fuzzy Pink Time Babies because it's like that big finale. So
the big finale, we get one hint of plot.
But it is interesting though. That's kind of all I really need. It's just like to know there's like a little more beneath the surface to wonder about.
Yeah, we'll close by talking about the end of Fuzzy Pink Time Babies. But okay, Michelle, best episode.
Okay, so it's a tie between It's My Party and Pajim Jams. For very different reasons. The Pajim Jams plot, it's so funny and so weird. Like, I never thought we would give pajamas an episode so early in the run of this show. But, like, I never knew how much I needed Oscar pretending to be Pajama's best new friend, Jim Jams. And then the reveal at the end that Pajama's knew Oscar was pretending the whole time and assumed that Oscar also knew this and judged him a lot at the end for not knowing. Like, it's just such a weird episode, but it's executed so well and it's so funny. And there's nothing else quite like that episode. It's such a standout.
Also, the end though, the reveal that the Pajamas has a relationship with Susie.
Like, exactly.
Well, Susie's former pajamas.
And she took his voice with it. There's just like so much going on in that episode. It's definitely worth your time.
I have to agree though, the funniest banana moment for me though has to be the very end of the Basketball Liars when he's like, I was away on business.
Right. I told Basketball to tell you. Like, Pajamas is a standout character. And also, It's My Party just because it's like a super Susie-centered episode.
Oh, yeah.
And this is one of those moments where you really actually do feel bad for her. Like, wow, nobody wants to come to her party because she's awful. And that makes total sense, but you still feel bad for her.
Yeah, it's a very humanizing episode for her.
And I do like the Oscar actually really wanted her to feel liked at her party.
Yeah.
He did not really turn to be vindictive against her, which shows what a great guy he is.
Continuing to be the better person's like one, a great message for kids, and two, it's just like great because I don't want Susie to get like too hurt by everyone hating her. Like if everyone did leave her alone, like maybe she'd just get worse. Maybe this is what she needs to get to be a little more decent as a person.
Yeah. Okay, I want to get back to Pajim Jams.
Let's go to Jim Jams.
Yeah. So it makes sense to me that Pajamas was the focus of an episode of the story because Pajamas was like a big character in the pilot. So I was kind of expecting Pajamas to be more of big characters, short pilot. But so my experience watching Pajim Jams, I'm like, okay, this isn't that great. Wasn't that great. And then at the end, this is like the first inkling that the show could be really good is the end of this episode because the ending is so good, as you guys mentioned. It's Pajamas like I thought you didn't know this whole time that we both knew, and then the reveal of Jim Jams belonging to Susie is incredible, and it's like that is such there's such an adult like complicated feeling to their relationship and the end of that episode. I think the last 2 minutes I think of that episode are really phenomenal, and it's like I like woke up at the end. I'm like, wow, okay, this show is for real. Like at the end of Pajim Jams. The Susie's Party one's also fun. Okay, let me give you the second best episode of the show. You guys haven't mentioned it yet. Is Hedgehog Werewolf. Because I know we talked about it a lot already. This is like the best Hedgehog episode. I think this is one of the most substantial feeling episodes of the show. Just with this this like it doesn't. She's still a werewolf. Like it doesn't go away.
It's canonical.
Yeah, like that's awesome. And the ending with the reveal that Betsy is the other werewolf, I think is so good.
Yeah.
And just this focus on Hedgehog in this episode, I think is really great. Just overall it felt substantial. It felt like it was really fun. And I also think this is a genuinely very good episode of television.
Yeah, and I also like though that once in a while they don't go back to the status quo. That there's actually consequences, like in this episode, and also the monster babies. One of the monsters actually stayed a baby, so. Yeah, once in a while, you never know when we're going to go back to status quo or we're going to actually have consequences.
Yeah. I don't know if I emphasized this enough in the beginning, but I think one of the biggest flaws with the show so far is that it's pretty unsubstantial feeling for the most part. I think there's a way to do comfy and like feel substantial at the same time. Like have bigger, more complicated plots, more more complex characterization. Obviously, I'm going to say this. It's a show aimed at kids. Yada,
this is a very Dylan thing to say because
I say this about every single show.
Plot to have a good show, but that also depends on what you go to a show looking for.
I don't need need plot. I just need more complex narrative within the episode. I think like Hedgehog Werewolf is somewhat of a complex narrative. Like my third favorite episode of the show, Time Traveling Quick Pants, is somewhat of a complex narrative.
I do really like that one also.
Oh, so funny.
Time Traveling Quick Pants, this is my favorite archetype for episodes, which is where a lot of time passes for one character, but not the rest of the people. Yeah. Running with scissors, Star Wars Force of Evil. And just the ending of this with the emotional reaction of Oscar, like forgetting about Hedgehog, I think is so well done. And like, that plays into their dynamic being one of the best parts of the show.
Personally, I thought those Susie kind of stole that episode. She has so many her best funnier moments were in that episode.
Susie steals every episode.
Yeah, she's so good.
Yeah. Other than that, we'll get to the finale. The only other one I've written down, Popular Banana Split. We talked about this a little bit. This episode is very weird.
Yes, it's very weird. The way like the Pajim Jams episode's also kind of weird.
Yeah, but this episode you just drop everything and go inside a tiny food school.
Just go into a food school, into the food cliques, and
this is very adventure time. Like, boy, this was. I didn't even particularly enjoy it that much, but I wanted to note how weird this one was.
Yeah.
And Steve, any other notable ones you want to bring up?
Okay, well, I'd say though my favorite is probably Mr. Softball. Though the Computer Vampire is also pretty good, but I love Mr. Softball. I just thought it was a funny baseball episodes. I love baseball episodes. That's very anime-esque. And I also love the nod to Bugs Bunny when Susie rounded the bases with one leg. That was classic Bugs. And I just love also the end, the moral. You had some morals at the end, some heart into it. How at the very end, Oscar and other campers helped the witches clean the Wells's teeth. You had, I guess, a little moment of Oscar and Susie kind of, at least have a moment of truce, at least for a second, which I think is very nice. I love seeing the relationship develop in this series.
Yeah, that's another one too.
I really like Mr. Softball. It just, I don't know, it feels like a fun, we're gonna work together and try not to be petty, but actually we really want to be petty, and actually it works really well to be petty. I don't know. I like that everyone acts kind of like actual people, and it's very relatable.
Yeah. Apparently Ashley Birch wrote on that episode. I don't know if she's going to write on more episodes, but
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's talk Fuzzy Pink Time Babies, because let's conclude with our mythology discussion. Finally, we have plot. We learned that Susie has been 15 or turning 15 since at least 1892.
Yeah.
There's this Ramona aspect, and in the previous episode, she had her 15th birthday party again, and also we had the Hedgehog stuff with her dad. But yeah, the revelation. This is it. This is it. If you want plot,
there it is, right there.
Susie is immortal? Question mark. What's going? Steve, what's going on here? Are the other witches also immortal too?
I kind of don't think so. I think it's just Susie. I kind of think perhaps that they're doing a little. A Inuyasha here, in that Ramona is Susie's little sister. So you have the old lady being a little sister to this teenager-looking person. So I do have another theory, though, that I do think that perhaps maybe she did some sort of time spell that stopped her from aging, and she's kind of stuck in this loop. Or perhaps, or if you want to go dark, perhaps the original. This Susie is a clone, and the original Susie is dead. She's Shiro, pretty much.
I'm selling clone Susie. We have enough clones on our shows.
But another theory I just thought of today is perhaps maybe there's just a whole bunch of Susies, and she's looking for a successor. And when it's done, perhaps Oscar, they put a spell, and Oscar would turn into the new Susie, and the Susie we have now would turn into whatever she was before then, I don't know, like Willy Wonka, or I guess a better example perhaps is Annabelle Crane from Little Witch Academia. Remember how they said I'm not the first Annabelle? Perhaps I'm not the first Susie. Oscar, you're next.
Wow. Okay. Also selling that one, but yeah, Michelle, what's your theory with Susie?
I feel so the island itself seems to be pretty magical, right? One thing I'm wondering is the witches we have, did they start off as witches, or were they just regular campers who found some access to power and became witches. And like I have a lot of questions about that, how this island works. I think maybe Susie came upon a way to either stop herself from aging or become immortal, but it's not an inherent trait to her. I think it's something she found. I'm super curious, though. I do think this is a good way to explain kind of her behavior, though. Like, if she's that old and that powerful, no wonder she's kind of a jerk to everyone and doesn't really see anyone as an equal and, like, thinks everyone should think she's awesome. Because she's, like, has all this power and she's been around for, like, so long. I think that's super interesting in terms of her backstory. But I have a lot of questions.
Yeah. It's, I don't know what's up with her. I guess I'm selling that she's in charge of the island. Or that she's like devious in her immortality. I think there's, something, I think it should be something sympathetic grounding her with this twist. But I love putting Susie in the center of the plot of this and, her being, over 100 years old. Great. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm excited. And it really lands because, just of how little anything there is before. It's like, something. Look,
we weren't expecting there to be anything, and now we have this. Okay, yeah.
I guess it's kind of a season finale in that regard. Yeah, like something happened. Here's Julia Pott talking about plot in this show.
Okay.
So she says, obviously there's a backstory as to why the world is like this and the magic of everything. We softly know where everything is going. It's definitely, she says, explaining that she and the writers at one point had a big reveal all set for the end of the first season before realizing they needed to push the mythos back. It's definitely very intoxicating to do lore, the backstories where everyone is like this and where everything is going, but then you have to write yourself into a corner and can only do that. We've been trying to piecemeal it out slowly because we want to bask in the more character-based episodes.
I think that's a very good decision.
So I wonder, though, is maybe Susie stealing some of the youth of the campers to keep herself young?
Like, maybe that's why they need campers.
Yeah.
So apparently there was a big reveal at the end, but they pushed it back. They want to focus more on characters. I think in general, this is a very good decision. Characters are the most important part of any show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My pushback care about plot if you don't care about the characters.
Yeah, exactly. The reason the Susie thing lands is because we care about her. And like the surrounding island. My pushback is that I don't think we've had that great of characterization to start out with, so I don't know if it's been utilized that well, but it's the beginning of a show, so.
Oh, Dylan, it's the first season.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
And
we're very hype. I'm very forgiving of first episodes, first seasons. It's like this is an extended pilot for 20 episodes. Like we have time to grow, but I'm just saying, we've been very positive, and I'm not, I think it's like a good, not great so far.
Oh, also, can I just have one little hot take before we go?
Yes.
I don't know. Who doesn't like plain vanilla ice cream? I love it.
Yeah, vanilla's awesome.
Yeah,
Vanilla's a great flavor.
Steve, that's not a hot... We've extensively talked about this on our Discord. That is not a hot take. The hot take is not disliking vanilla, which I agree with. I think vanilla is bad. Okay. Yeah. There's I want something else I want to say. I think at times, increasingly as the season went on, the show had very funny moments. Like for the most part, I don't think it was like particularly standout funny, but like as we're starting to get in the groove, I think there's a few like lines and scenes and stuff that were really, really funny. So like that's very promising too. Okay, Michelle, any final thoughts on Summer Camp Island?
I think this was a pretty great first season, and I'm very glad there is some kind of underlying plot, but I by no means feel any need to get to it anytime soon, because I think the direction to just let these characters have their weird, wacky, casual adventures and sprinkle in some stuff along the way is a great way to just that way we won't be too focused on where's the next plot thing. I don't want to be obsessed with plot. I'd rather just take what the show gives me in the way it gives me and the amount of time it gives it to me. I also don't think it's a big deal that they haven't fleshed out a ton of the campers, because again, this is their first season. They probably want a season 2. They want to have more, but you got to establish your main people first. I think they take priority. So I'm not super bummed out that we don't know any other characters outside of maybe Pajamas and Susie and Hedgehog and Oscar very well. There's time for that. There's time for that, and I can wait for that. I don't need it right now. As long as I know who the main people are, I feel like I'm good as of a first season. So I feel very content with this as it is.
Nice. Yeah, and I agree with that, and that's also why I think Hedgehog characterization is such a priority.
Yeah, because, for sure, like, moving forward.
Yeah, because she's like, if we're focusing on the leads, like, let's focus on Hedgehog more too, because she's so important here. Yeah, I agree. Also, plot's not that big of a priority. Like, complex narrative isn't plot for me, and complex narrative, complex characterization. Number 1, that's my number 1 for every show. Number 2, Hedgehog characterization. Number 3, maybe even more of the secondary witches. And then number 4, plot is my wish list for future episodes.
I would love more witches. The witches are so good.
Betsy.
Yeah, because I do think we were saying Alice, when she turns all the monsters to babies, there is a certain amount of danger to their power that we haven't really seen many glimpses of, but I think it's definitely there. And if the show ends up taking a more kind of spooky, dangerous route, I'd be so for that, because they laid the ground for so much happy, cute stuff that I love. Depending on how it tonally shifts, I feel like there's so much potential there too in either direction. So I'm just excited.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. A lot of also, Oscar being gay, that's on my wish list too. Season 2. Okay. Let's do all of that. Steve, final thoughts.
Well, I'm saying just keep this up. I don't know. As soon as I saw the episodes, I kept watching all weekend. I loved it. Yeah, take your time with the plot, especially if it's gonna make a character maybe like Susie more in a more antagonistic, villainous role. I don't want that yet. Though maybe I'm being a little biased, but yeah, as much as I want more Hedgehog, I'm with you for that. But I need that Betsy episode, because if Alice gets one, Betsy needs one too. We got to be fair here, equal opportunities.
Equal opportunity witches. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Betsy episode also very high priority. She's very sympathetic, interesting character that we know almost nothing about.
Yeah, she also might be the character.
Accurate.
It might be the character who's most sympathetic to Susie, who kind of empathized with her. It's not
ship.
Like the other campers. Oh, maybe. Yeah. I know. I'm just saying.
I'm shipping. Okay.
But she's an angel, and protect her smile. Protect Betsy's smile.
Okay, let's get it. Let's have an episode with her first before we start protecting her smile. Okay, yeah, a Betsy ghost backstory episode, maybe. Okay, yes, I think we said it all. Yeah, very exciting. Start to Summer Camp Island. Very eager to see more from the show. Who knows when? There's more. We know there's more episodes being made. We'll see when. Will Cartoon Network dump it again? That's one thing we didn't talk about. The release strategy of dumping all 20 episodes.
They are experimenting with their format.
Yes,
Netflix.
Cable TV is dying, and Cartoon Network is one of the only ones that's actually trying to pivot, and I admire them for that. And it results in stuff like this. Is this the right show to do with? I don't know. I don't have that much to say about it.
I know the reason they decided to do it this way is just because when they were testing it with children audiences, they said it took kids a couple episodes to really get into it. With the first episode, they're we don't know how we feel about it, but episode 3 or 4, they were pretty hype. Yeah. So I think that's kind of why they decided to. Having said that, I think, I honestly miss the weekly airing schedules for a lot of reasons, not just because we do podcasts, but it's just in terms of having time to sit and chew on certain things for a whole week is nice. So this isn't my favorite format, but I think they're doing it because they care about the show. And that's a good step in a direction. I
think season 2 is going to be dropped in August at some point.
No,
Next August?
That's very soon.
I'm being optimistic.
I don't know.
I think it's possible it's late 2018, but we'll see.
But yeah, they just dropped the seasons don't really matter. Cartoon Network, the way to split the seasons, most of the time after the air season finale, the season premiere is ready to go. So
yeah, that is true. There's if 20 even is the finale for season 1, it's Cartoon Network.
I really believe it's probably not really 20 episodes. Just the way Cartoon Network puts the seasons, it's probably maybe 40. Maybe at most 52.
Season?
For I don't know. It just depends what the production order was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the first season.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever.
I think this might actually really truly be the mid-season finale. You know how Voltron, they originally divided 26 episodes of 13?
Yes. Yeah, so Voltron has 13 seasons, actually 26 a year, and so we'll see what's coming for Summer Camp Island. I think probably it's good the show wasn't weekly, because I wouldn't have been as into weekly airings, but all at once is an easy thing to get into. But that they wouldn't have aired it weekly anyway. They would have done a bomb or something. So that was like the alternative. That's like the alternative. That's all they're doing this summer is the week-long things. Okay. So yeah, let us know what you, that's less important. I'll talk about the actual show. Let us know what you thought about that in the comments at overlyanimated.com and YouTube, our YouTube channel, overlyanimated.com/YouTube. Leave comments there as well about Summer Camp Island. Potential for us to do more podcasts on this. We'll see. Heard that other co-hosts might catch up on it, but 20 episodes a lot. So this is what we got for now. And then,
this is what we got for now.
Yeah. So probably it for a little while, but we'll see if other co-hosts catch up on our end, and then maybe we can talk more about the show. Yes. So let's note that. We also have a Summer Camp Island channel on our Discord, overlyanimated.com/Discord. And come talk about the show there. And you can also consider supporting us via Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Damien, aka Diamond Day. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Andy, and Hugh. Check out everything else at overlyanimated.com. Big Cartoon Network week, 5 Steven Universe podcasts, 5 episodes. Also, Craig of the Creek podcast going up at the same time as this. Check all that out at overlyanimated.com. And thanks for listening, guys. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.